Hello, my name is Emily Rose, and I teach tarot readers and the mystically minded to read Lenormand like they're talking to a friend. And today we are here to learn everything you need to know about the ring card in Lenormand. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, when you think about a ring, it is pretty clear what it means in our daily life, right? A lot of us wear wedding rings or engagement rings, things like that. And that is to kind of symbolize the commitment and love that you have for another person, the relationship that you have. It's kind of a way to honor that in some way. And in general, that's a pretty good way to look at the ring in Lenormand. You want to kind of keep the keywords in mind of commitment, sometimes a contract of something, some kind, something that you've agreed to. And also with the ring, it's a circle, so it's kind of eternal and it's a cycle, right? It never ends. So cycle is another word that we can attribute to the ring as well. Now, let's look at the ring in a few different contexts. Obviously, one of the main contexts it can come up in is a relationship or love context. Typically, when I'm charging cards either for a grand tableau or just sometimes I charge cards for simple draws like a 5-card spread or a box spread, I oftentimes will charge the ring as the commitment, as the relationship itself, the status of the relationship. And the heart, I let mean the passion or the actual love. So this is kind of like what the people have committed to. And the heart is the actual passion that's between people. So that's one way to think of it. The ring is talking about some type of commitment being made, and you really want to look to the surrounding cards to understand what's happening to that commitment and the scale of that commitment. If you have something like the scythe modifying it or the crossroads, that could indicate some type of a severance or separation happening to the relationship. If you have something like the anchor or the heart following it, then the anchor can show it's perhaps a very secure relationship. And the heart can show that it's a loving relationship. So you really want to look to the modifying cards to understand the quality of it and what's happening to it. And of course, always go back to the question that you asked. When it comes to work or business, the ring can represent several different things, but one of the most common associations is the ring can represent a relationship or contract in business. So this can show some type of a merger, perhaps two or more parties coming together to an agreed upon policy, or they're agreeing upon terms of some kind. And in some cases, it can actually represent the physical contract that people sign. And this comes up a lot for me. I have a number of corporate clients, and usually when something comes up about look in the details, we'll get something like ring letter fox or something like that, that there's something sneaky in there. So it's really important to pay attention to the fine print, or maybe the mice shows up there too. So you really want to look at the surrounding cards when it comes to the ring, and especially if it's next to the letter, to see what's going on with that contract. Another thing it can just represent is relationships, perhaps the connection that people have with each other, the relationships people have at work. So it can simply represent relationships. And another thing it can represent is a cycle. So sometimes it'll show like sales cycles or cycles of behavior with some people, things like that. So you always want to look to your question. It's always about context with Lenormand to ensure that you are interpreting it in alignment with the context. If you are in a lost object context, the ring comes up a lot for me when I'm looking for lost objects, and it can represent jewelry of some kind. Maybe it's next to other jewelry you have, or something like that. But oftentimes for me, it represents my washing machine or my dryer. It's usually what it represents because it's on a cycle and it goes around. So sometimes when it comes up, it usually means it's somewhere in the laundry. So that's what I've noticed. And then other times it can represent somewhere that I've looked a few times. Like, we usually, when we're looking for things, we kind of have a cycle about how we walk through our house or whatever to find it. And that's kind of what the ring symbolizes. It's usually somewhere that you've looked a few times and you're just kind of circling around it. If you would like to learn more about the ring, I have much more included on my website, which I have linked down below, including sample card combinations and examples, spreads. And if you would like to dig in a little bit deeper with Lenormand, you'd like to learn to read with confidence, I do have a totally free mini course that you can take at emilyrosedivination.com/mini course. It's a 3-lesson mini course that also comes with a workbook. Thank you all so much for joining me, and I hope that you all have a beautiful rest of the day.